Property managers scam landlords out of more than $200,000 by collecting money for leases and then not transferring it over to the owners. I'm Tony, and this is Real Estate Investing and Landlord News. All right, so I have an interesting article for you today, and it's covering a topic that I don't cover very often, and that is property management. So I use property managers for all of my properties now. I used to self-manage my properties, but I turned things over to property management when it just got too complex, too busy, and I just didn't have the time. You know, I work a full-time job. I'm married. I have a 4-year-old daughter. You know, I've got a lot of stuff going on right now. So I was like, okay, I need to be able to, have time to do the rest of my life. So I turned all of my properties over to property management. But one of the things that I've always worried about is getting scammed, getting screwed over by a bad property manager. And this is the reason why a lot of small landlords in particular don't like property management, because they see, one, they're paying a percentage of their rent usually to a person, and they don't see the amount of work that that person is doing. And two, they're afraid that they might get scammed in the way that this property manager in this story did, okay? And so from what I've read, the property manager in this story was collecting rent payments and then was not transferring the money over to the landlords, the property owners. So I've always worried about that sort of thing happening. You never know. They could be writing out fraudulent repairs. There's so much potential for fraud. And that's why when you find a good property manager, a lot of people, they stick with them. And when you get a bad one, you can really you could lose everything, okay? I mean, it is a very bad thing to happen. So, this is kind of a warning thing out there. I'm not trying to discourage other people from using property management. What I am saying is that you have to vet your property management very well. You have to be on the ball in terms of, check out all of that paperwork, all that documentation, make sure that, hey, this stuff is legitimate, that, these expenses that are coming up, and trust but verify. Okay, I think property managers, the grand majority of them are doing a great job out there, but all it takes is one bad apple to destroy your business, and that's not what I want to see. I don't think any of us want to see that. So before I get into the article, go ahead, hit the like, subscribe button, maybe leave a comment down below and let me know what you think. First of all, for the landlords out there, do you use property management on your properties? And if you do, why do you do so? If you don't, also, why do you not do so? Okay, so, I just want to hear about the personal experiences of people out there. What I personally recommend is, if you only own a few properties, and they're specifically single family houses, then you should be able to handle that yourself, even working a full-time job, even with a family, even with other obligations, because the time involved is not that much, okay? But, once you get over a certain number of units, and I own 16 units right now, and I feel like I am running around like a chicken with his head cut off when I'm trying to do everything. And, so you understand why I needed to outsource some of that work. Okay. So anyway, let's get into this article, see what it says. This article is coming from KTLA.com, and it says, Orange County woman allegedly stole over $200,000 through rental scams. Yeah, this is coming out of LA, so obviously, LA is not the kind of place where I'd invest, but I do feel bad for the landlords who lost money due to this scammer. An Orange County woman was arrested for allegedly stealing over $200,000 through home rental scams. The suspect was identified as Sarong Lee, 29, from Irvine, according to the Irvine Police Department. Authorities said Lee told victims she was a property manager and facilitated home lease agreements with clients. In some instances, the rental property she was representing were fraudulent or not actually available. So it sounds like she wasn't just out there renting the landlords, but she was also out there renting scamming the landlord. She was scamming landlords and potential tenants as well, right? So she would, it sounds like she was offering up properties for lease, you know, collecting maybe application fees, collecting lease payments, etc., and then just pocketing the money. So yeah, this was bad for both landlords and tenants, but you know, I don't know if she actually was a property manager or if she was just representing herself to be one. In other cases, Lee collected funds from her victims for a lease, but never transferred the money to the property owners. By using these methods, Lee managed to steal over $200,000, police said. Lee was arrested on multiple charges, including grand theft, possession of fake identification, and theft by false pretense. Investigators believe there may be additional victims of Lee who have yet to come forward. They've released photos of the suspect for public identification. And they got her picture up here, and I'll throw it up on the screen so that you can see what this scammer looks like, okay? So, you know, in my opinion, you shame the criminals, okay? Shame them, make them look like the fools they are, because you don't deserve anything less than that, okay? You stole $200,000 from people, you get what you deserve, okay? So, hopefully this is a warning sign out there. If you know somebody comes up to you and you know they are claiming to be a property manager, trust but verify. You know, check their credentials. Call their references. You know, call other landlords that have used them before. You know, something I haven't mentioned before was I had a property manager when I lived in Arizona, right? And he managed my property up in Phoenix. So he did a wonderful job. I absolutely, you know, loved him. He was a great property manager. I wish he was located somewhere outside of Phoenix where I invest now, but, you know, he asked me to be a reference for him, right? And so I actually had some of the other clients that he, you know, potential clients for him, give me a phone call, and I would answer all of their questions. You know, I would tell them what I actually thought of him, and you know, he was absolutely great, right? And so, you know, shout out to Dick Rosen in Phoenix, Arizona. Hey, I appreciated you for being a great property manager, and I still will give you a reference if somebody decides to give me a call one day, okay? But you know, a lot of property managers are, you know, they're good people. They really are doing a needed service for you, and I think that, you know, as long as you know, verify everything, and you know, don't ignore or neglect your property. You know, don't think that you can just dump everything on them, never check on it, and just collect the checks, okay? Think of it more as this is a business. Yes, I am passing off a lot of the work to someone else, but I still am the manager. I am the business manager now, not the property manager, okay? So, you know, these are employees. We need to make sure that they are, you know, they're working for you. You need to make sure that they're doing their job and they're not trying to screw us over. So anyway, they have a few tips in here. It says, authorities provided these tips on ways to protect yourself from a rental scam. Use a reputable real estate agent or broker. Always request a tour of the property. Ask to speak to the property owner directly. Some suspicious things to be aware of include being pressured to lease right away, being asked to pay in cash when there is no credit check involved, request to send payments to individuals other than the homeowner or property manager. The case remains under investigation, you know, and so those are great tips if you are the tenant involved in this sort of scam. You know, for the landlords, it's going to take a little bit more than these sort of things, right? And so, you know, I hope that those who lost money to this scammer are able to receive some sort of compensation, but, you know, it's likely that you're not.